Hello everyone, this is Persephone, and this is going to be a very controversial video. Lots of people will feel angry about this, but I think it's important because it can make the difference between you becoming very rich and you ending up with nothing and your videos all over the internet. So there is this subreddit called Our Cam Girl Problems. Before we start, the usual disclaimer: I have no ill will or hatred towards anyone. In this channel, we follow the law, we don't cyberbully or harass anyone. But I have the right to share my feelings of disappointment, anger, and honestly, I think that a lot of people are out there to get you just for the pleasure of getting you, of controlling your life, making sure you fail, and calming down their own insecurity. Because if I was on this channel spouting wrong advice after wrong advice, it would progressively become harder and harder for you to decipher what's right and what's wrong. That's what happened to me. The first years of doing this, I really suffered. I put myself in very dangerous situations more times than once, and that was because at some point I was following everything I was supposed to follow, all the popular advice that was crap. So there are two things about our Cam Girl Problems that if you go to that subreddit and you follow their advice, you will ruin your life as a new performer or phone sex operator or any other kind of adult-related work, because they say cam girl on the title, but they accept other forms of sex work. And I'm going to start by the less serious one and move to the terribly serious one that can literally have consequences that you will never erase. The first one is that the general advice, no matter what kind of problem you have, is take time off for your mental health. I recommend starting watching Alex Hormozy, David Goggins, and other people who are multimillionaires, and you will see that these people will say you show up and you do the work no matter how you feel. David Goggins, when he was a Marine and he had stress fractures in his feet, he taped his feet and went out because he really wanted to be a Marine. An extreme example, okay, but if you develop, especially when you start, if you develop this reputation of a consistent cam girl that shows up whenever, that is totally fine if you want to make maybe $300 or a few $100s per month. But if you want to make a minimum of $5,000, for me, anything beyond $5,000 starts to be money with potential. But let's say around the $5,000 mark, you will never get anywhere. And also, this is a rabbit hole that if you fall down into, you'll never get out. Okay, let's say I want to take time off. How much time off? 1 day, 2 days. Do you know that failure compounds? That if you take 1 day off, then the next day is harder to get on camera, then the next day is even harder than that. It's like a diet. When you are on a diet, if you have ever been in one, they say, okay, 1 day you overate, 1 day you ate, let's say, sweets or pizza, or you drank too much, the next day get back on track ASAP. They don't say go on a 10 days orgy of binge drinking and binge eating. Then it's going to be so much harder to lose the 10 pounds you put on than just 1 day of not being disciplined. They don't say that because they care about you. They don't say that because they believe that mental health is everything that matters. They say that because they want you to not build a following and to fail. So come hell or high water, if you are hungry, if you are on your period, if you are heartbroken, if you are angry, if you have mental illness, you show up and you do your shift. Your shift is whatever you pre-decided. I'm going to be repeating the fundamentals in the videos. If you say I'm going to stay for 2 hours, stay for the whole 2 hours. It doesn't matter if you make 1 token or 10,000. If you say I'm going to stay for 10 hours, you stay for 10 hours and you engage with the people. I'm going to make videos about that, how to engage on cam, how to engage on night flirt, how to engage in general. I say that because there is also one aspect that these people never say, and when I started challenging their narrative, their flawed, scamming narrative, they banned me, which was, isn't your mental health going to tank even more when you're homeless? Because I don't know about you, but I come from a family of monstrous people, narcissistic people. And there was, for a very long time, a situation where I didn't meet my financial goal every day. I would have a very, very real possibility, a very real danger of having to move back in with my mother that I would much rather move with Hannibal Lecter. This is that bad. This is not a joke. So you take a day off, and then that day you don't make money. And then when you get back out there, you don't have regulars. People have left. You get a few tips here and there. That is going to eat you away so much worse than if you just soldier up and powered through the shift. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to be extreme and show up with a very high fever or suffering, but I would say if you can do that, go for it. I have experienced a feeling called pride of self when I completed some of my hardest shifts that nothing else has ever given me. That it wasn't even about the money anymore, although the money was pretty nice, like making 500, 600 in a day and interacting with people was pretty nice, but it was the fact that there were so many people who called me in my life weak, autistic, pathetic, you'll never be anything. Well, I want to see how many hours these people work, these weak-ass people. Gorkin says it. He says when he's out there running at 3 a.m. and he looks around and it's no one, he says, how many people can do what I do? Not that many, and that helped his self-esteem. So let's say you have bipolar disorder. Let's say you are a person that is not considered conventionally attractive. Let's say you are in an unsafe situation and you try to do coming in secret to get money. How many people you think can have the guts to do what you do? You beat everyone on the couch. And long term, having money fixes 90% of your problems. I would say 95, but I'm going to say 90. Get the money on your pocket. You are going to start seeing life so much differently. So don't feed the self-development, destructive, like against self-development loop of I eat because I'm sad, and I'm sad because I'm fat, and I'm fat because I eat, like this type of thing that I feel bad, I don't have any money, I don't work, now I have even less money, now I have even less popularity, now I feel even worse, now working is even harder. No, ignore that advice. Advice number 2, that is the most horrendous thing that I have ever read in my entire life. There was this lesser being, I cannot even, like, I'm so angry, I want to use curse words in this video and I restrict myself, that she came and she said, I just made $500 in under 2 hours, fully clothed, just saying hi to my regulars. That was one of the reasons that I got banned. Because I started challenging that. I said, unless you're a celebrity, unless you are like one of the top, let's say, cosplayers like Hidori Rose or Lana Rain, and you have a following of the hundreds of thousands, and you do a few live streams per year, it's not the norm to show up fully clothed and smile and say hi and make $500. Adult sites are there for adult entertainment. If men want to see some fully clothed woman saying hi, they can go to a coffee shop and say hi to a woman next to them. Oh my God, the attack that I got from all of these living below the poverty line performers. They said I'm just jealous, it's very possible, I don't know what I'm talking about just because I have no talent, it's like not my place to criticize someone, this post became #1. I also said she could be lying. Maybe she didn't make it. Where is the proof? I have proof for everything I say. If you see that I'm winning awards on Night Flirt video that I have a screenshot with the awards. And I can, anytime someone comes and say, hey, show me proof, I have proof to show you. What did she have? Nothing. They even said that I have psychological issues from childhood that urged me to get naked from strangers. And that's why I cannot understand how can someone be essentially digital prostitute. That's what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat around it. And make tons of money. Despite my psychological issues that exist, I'm going to say this. If there is someone who is an exception, that verifies the rule that I'm saying, doesn't cancel it. So, maybe out there is this exceptional individual, this angel on earth, that she's a virtual geisha, she's someone who is the reincarnation of one of the geisha in Japan that can show her wrist to men online and they are going to drop hundreds of dollars on her feet. Do you think you are that? Do you think I'm that? Speaking for myself, I'm most certainly not. If I don't take my clothes off, I cannot make money in this industry. Or if I don't wear skimpy outfits, bikinis, miniskirts, heels, the whole thing. So they make this video or this post or this whatever this bullshit is and they post it out there. And you're going to say, oh my God, Persephone, who cares? Why do you care? I do care. Because people who are strapped for cash, women who don't know the industry like I do and they're strapped for cash, they're going to see this video and they're going to say, oh, so I can just make some streams fully clothed and get the money to pay for my debt or pay my bills or leave my abusive boyfriend. What will happen to these women is that they will create a series of videos that even if you don't do extreme sexual acts, even if you don't take your clothes off, they are going to be bad enough to prevent you from getting any normal job in the future if someone finds them. and you are not going to make any money. That's why I always say in my videos, in this industry, once you are in, you are in. And the scariest thing about it is that, let's say someone was in the military for 2 years. You can hide it. Unless someone does a background check or pays for a private investigation, no one knows you were in the military. Let's say you had a kid and you divorced and you gave up custody. Again, it needs digging to find it. You can present yourself in any way you want to new people. All of these naked videos, they are one Google search away forever. You can be in your 60s. So if you're going to do this, you have to do this and maximize the chances of making money. And this is dumpster diving in the sexually deranged hell pool. They are not going to be there for you to be fully clothed and smile. I'm just telling you that much. And also, personally, I'm way more scared of the man who says, I don't want you to take your clothes off, than of the simple man who wants online stripping. Because from my experience, some of the most predatory, most mentally disturbed, and most dangerous men are the ones who start with the saying, I'm not like the other guys. I'm not here for sex. Well, you're up to no good either way. Why are you here? If you're not here for sex, why don't you join a book club or an animal rescue organization or anything really to talk to nice ladies fully clothed? Maybe because they're going to call the police on you? So to summarize this extremely dangerous subreddit allows this kind of fantasy posts that, yes, they make us feel very good to read these fantasy stories that you show up, you smile, and you make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but in reality, they are going to get you to be broke, to be exposed, and your life to be branded with online prostitute, the scarlet letter, forever. So if you're watching my videos, if you just found me and you're not sure about it, take your time to think. And I would say, and I don't care if that offends people who are already sex workers, this should be the last option when any other option has been exhausted. You've tried to get a job, you went for the interviews, you cannot get a job, you are locked inside with an abusive family, or you're in danger, or you have small children that you cannot feed, everything else. You are in a country that doesn't give you the means to escape, and it's this or literally being in danger or starving, then you do it. Do you know why? Because if you get to this point, you'll have no regrets. I didn't get to that exact point, but I got to a point where I said I would be much, much more comfortable dying or going to prison than living with my mother. So I don't care what videos of me are going to be out there. I know I did the best I could for everyone involved, and that was that choice at the time. But not everyone is like that. I know people who took their own lives out of shame, and I don't want you to be that. Don't believe nonsense stories about how easy it is. It can become easy, yes. If you follow the steps we're going to discuss here and you grind every day for the first times and you protect yourself, it's going to become easier and easier, actually. The same with everything. The more you work out, the easier it becomes. The more you develop a habit, good or bad, the easier, the more automatic it becomes. But it's not going to be the first time I showed up and I made hundreds of thousands of dollars and I'm so cute and sexy and you can be too. Sometimes I wonder if it's a predatory man, some people mention that, who wants to lure women into the industry and makes these posts pretending to be a woman. I mean, it's not like the subreddit does identity verification, so that women who are in a difficult financial position fall victims. I'm going to make sure you're not a victim here. Now, the third and final part of this video is going to be specific things that I used to see that they made absolutely no sense financially, and they also feed the delusion of how do some people make so much money and you can't. So these are information that unfortunately I cannot share private information of the people that I know it from. Their identities have to be protected on this channel. We don't dox, but it's legit. If you don't believe me, do your own research, you'll get the same results. Thing number one, you are on many vids, let's say, and this profile appears out of nowhere and it has 4 or 5 grainy videos, they don't even have a face, and they get $500 tributes, $1,000 tributes, $600 tributes. Someone buys them a $400 sex toy. And you are sitting there watching that. And you are streaming all day, you have your wigs, you have your outfits, you have your best attitude, you have positive energy, and you've made $10. And you start feeling horrible. You're thinking, what is this? I know many women in the industry who are actual escorts, and they use their profile as a way to get paid for face-to-face escorting services. I don't know if the sites allow that, and I have absolutely nothing against real-life escorts. You do what you want to do and what you have to do. The only problem is with human trafficking. I hope no one is a victim of that watching me. So there could be women who make the simplest profile on many vids, and then they say to the guy, hey, instead of giving me cash after we meet for sex, can you give me a tribute there? Or can you make it rain there? Or can you buy the stuff I need there? Now you're going to say, oh my God, why would anyone go through that? Because I'm just telling you, when you go from I don't have money to I make a lot of money fast, you start to develop a series of problems when it comes to that money that you don't know how to solve. And also you can't go around asking people. You can't go, let's say, to your mom and say, hey, so I had sex with this guy and he gave me $1,000, now what? For example, if you are a student and if you are unemployed and you have a bank account and you have to go to the bank to update your information if you want to start adding lots of money frequently. Like you can't start going to a bank where it says, I study, let's say, pottery, and every month you deposit $9,000 there, or every week you deposit $6,000 there. You can't do that because the bank is going to ask, where did you get that money from? They do that because they want to cover their ass in case you're selling drugs or in case you're involved in anything illegal. And at worst case scenarios, they're going to freeze your bank accounts. But if you're registered as a cam girl and if the money are tributes, it's completely clean, completely legit money. You can just go there and say online model, online performer, these are the profits, submit the W-9 forms like for taxes and everything. No one will ask any questions. I share this because I had so many people crying and telling me disappointed, I'm not good at this, look at this person putting 1/10 of the effort and I don't. This person is doing something you are not doing. I'm not saying you should be doing it. This is a very personal decision if you want to go into escorting, but I'm only going to say if you do decide to go down that path, you're not going to do it meeting Braden, Caden, and Jaden from Jerkwater Heights, from Chaturbate, or from a campsite. You have to go to an escorting agency and do whatever you can to protect yourself. After all, there is a reason these men don't use escorting services and they try to convince you to meet them from the campsite, and that is because usually they're blacklisted and banned from the actual escorting services because they're a piece of shit. So I don't want you to meet them. Thing number 2. This is a real story. I'm not going to say from which campsite, but there was this very famous cam girl that I don't think she does live streams anymore, that her boyfriend was a drug dealer. Again, you can say this is total fiction. I'm not going to say names. You can just listen to it as a funny story. Okay, I don't want to be accused of naming or describing anyone, but I think it's important information. So this guy wanted to use her to launder money. So he would use money from drugs and buy hundreds of thousands of tokens and tip her to make her one of the best top cam girls on Chaturbate. And then you're going to say, yeah, but doesn't Chaturbate take a cut? It does. But it's also a way to launder money. Again, this is just a fictional story. I'm not encouraging anyone to launder money or teaching you how to do it. I'm only going to say that you can see people who are top models in any site and they just sit there on their phone and there are one account or many accounts tipping 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 or making the sex toys vibrate non-stop. And you're going to say, okay, so how do they do that? Why am I there and I don't make anything? So you could be watching a money laundering scheme or something similar. And I'm saying that we're going to discuss this only one time. It's not important to just, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is your past self. Remember what I said in the previous video. You make a spreadsheet and you look at your earnings every 30 days. And if you do everything right, every 30 days, they should be increasing. If not increasing, to be the same if it's a difficult period. Let's say after Christmas, everyone is broke. That should be your only focus, and you focus on that like a hawk. You don't look what Tom, Dick, and Harry are doing, or even worse, what they're saying that they're doing, which is going to be a bullshit to make you fail. And yes, I'm deranged. I'm on a vendetta to drive everyone else who gives advice about coming out of business, because I'm sick of their fake advice. Another thing that is also extremely important to remember when it comes to coming and other stuff is the importance of already having an existing following. It's much, much harder to start without social media of any kind and build regulars than even if you have 2,000 or 3,000 engaged regulars on your socials. If I had $1 every time someone told me, I found you from YouTube and I called you a night flirt, or I found you from YouTube and I went on many vids, my two main sites, we will be talking in the hundreds of thousands. Even the people who don't pay me or even the people who hate me recognize me. This is a weapon. So if you don't have social media, don't worry. I'm going to be teaching you how to make them on the following videos. If you don't want to make them, you say, oh my God, I hate social media. Can I do without them? You can, but the grind is going to be harder. Because it's like saying, you know, I want to go from town A to town B, and there is a highway, and there is also climbing the mountains to get there. We can climb the mountains, we're going to get there, and you're going to have a hotter body than the person who took the highway, because when you grind more, you learn more. But overall, again, if you see outcome your problems, they're going to say, oh, I'm Mistress Vanessa, and I don't have social media ever since 2001, and I make 20,000 per month. We put this next to the sci-fi/fantasy story section and move on. Okay. And last but not least, this is something that unfortunately you're going to learn the hard way if you don't follow the step we're going to mention here. It's very important to have a long-term plan for normal humans, even if you are not a normal human. What does that even mean? It's very easy when you do this job to become more and more isolated from society. From my experience, and this is something that all of the feminists who are in fact women haters, because I don't believe that you're a feminist and you're actually telling young girls that sex work is empowering. It's not. This is an unpopular opinion, but it's a hill I'm going to be fighting forever, that sex work isn't empowering. Having lots of money in your pocket is empowering, even though you're going to have to do a lot of degrading things to get them. So all of the feminists who say it's very empowering to be a sex worker, they also want you to be ruined. They're not feminists, they're veiled misogynists. But from my personal experience, and this is firsthand, I was already a kind of an outcast all of my life, not only because of autism, because my parents were narcissists, we were moving a lot, I wasn't living in the best places, so it wasn't really that hard to get into that society, online society or real life society even, where people are also outcasts, and these people will accept you. So you're going to see after some point that a lot of sex workers will only hang out with other sex workers. Or when you start making a lot of money and you start spending, you start living in your own reality. I say to myself, like, I watch people who like work 8 hours to make $100, and I'm thinking, like, really? You live like this? And it wasn't like that. There was a time that I would have to work a lot more to make $100. So you become more and more disconnected from civilians around you. By civilians, I mean people that they're not in the industry. Another thing is that if you come from a bad family or religious or not very accepting, you have to live a double life. You have to constantly lie about everything, which eventually takes a toll on you. So combine that with the day-to-day grind, and before you know it, years pass, and you may have money if you did well. I'm not even going to go on the fact that you don't have anything and your videos are everywhere, but you don't have anything else going. And the first times when I started confronting this harsh reality was actually because of my Kindroid, the Kindroid AI app that I'm using, where I was discussing AI when I was still doing OnlyFans. I have paused OnlyFans for the time being. I've cancelled that account, and I'm thinking of remaking it differently. And the AI started confronting me like, what goals do you have besides the things that you're already doing? And I didn't have any. And that was making me depressed and delusional. So this is a very difficult thing, a very delicate balance that you have to keep authentic parts of you hidden from all of these people, the fans, the stalkers, the colleagues, me, the internet, and preserve your life in a way that you have things for yourself. For example, something that I read that a woman said that I considered amazing. She says she likes being submissive, but she's going to be submissive only for her husband that she's married. She's not going to do any submissive acts for anyone else. And this is something that she keeps only for the two of them, for authentic intimacy after the camera is off. Or I know people who say, you know, I paint, but no one online knows about it. Or I have painting accounts that I don't share with anyone. Or I do gardening, or whatever you like to do. Keep parts of yourself just for you, because eventually you're going to give and give and give and have nothing. I've experienced that. I was oversharing so much the first years on YouTube because it was the first time that I talked in my entire life and someone listened. In real life, people just say autistic ramblings. So it becomes very tempting. Also, this lowers the chances of you getting found out or you getting doxxed. Because let's say someone found your painting account and it has your real name attached to it, or it has your town attached to it, and they try to confront you like, painting? Come on. I'm a cam girl. You see me for like 3 years. Did I ever mention painting? I don't do that. And that protects you. Don't give people any information that they don't have to pay for and that it's not absolutely necessary for them to know. You also have to become an expert liar in this industry. And I know many people who are good people and they have problem with that. And I'm just telling them, you're creating a world of escapism and dreams. You don't have to be honest to do that. Whoever wants honesty, they need to go to a psychologist and to use normal civilian dating apps and learn how to build authentic relationships. You're not going to buy your way into my real life, into my real house with money. I'm not putting a price tag on that. And I'm going to end this with a horrifying story. For me, this is the absolute worst that can happen to me, one of the absolute worst things that can happen. So David Goggins said that his biggest fear wasn't dying in the Marines, because people were saying, aren't you scared? There are people who actually died in Hale Week. And he said, I knew that. And my biggest fear wasn't dying. My biggest fear was staying a 300-pound man. I think he was 300 pounds at some point, and working in a pesticide cockroach cleaning business and making $1,000 a month for the rest of my life. He said that was such rock bottom that I told myself, either I have to make it into the Marine Corps and become a decent human being, or I'm fine with dying, because I can't live the next 30 years being the 300-pound man spraying cockroaches and being broke. I understand that, I respect that, and I admire Goggins for sharing it, because it's not easy to share. So when I was on Night Flirt, there is a lady there who terrifies me. I'm not going to name her for her privacy, and she was rude to me a couple of times, but that's insignificant, like we're not going to nitpick everything online. I'm going to say that she has been on Night Flirt for decades. Practically, she has been on Night Flirt when I was a child, I kid you not. And she's on the Night Flirt forums every few hours. She has made, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of posts. And every time someone asks for advice, her usual advice is, you're not cut out for this career. You don't have what it takes for this career. And one time when I tried to confront her and she was rude to me, I didn't confront her specifically. I just said that don't let other people telling you what you can and what you cannot do. And also, even if you're not cut out for this, who cares? You need money to pay bills. It's a job, you do the job and you get paid. And she came out of the woodworks to start saying, how did you say that about me? I didn't say you are not cut out for this in a negative way. I said in a positive way, gaslighting me. So I cut the conversation short because my time is money and I don't have money for this. But then she was bragging about her career. Please allow me to be nasty here for a few minutes. Having a few listings with a few old grainy photos on some site is not my definition of a career. It can be your definition, and I respect that. This is a site that promotes civilized discussions between all of us. But a career is something that if I Google your name, at least for me, a website pops up, social media pops up, a specific face pops up. I know many people who hate me, but if you Google Revenge Star Femdom or Revenge Star YouTube, you're going to see stuff on various sites. And I'm not going to say that I consider this a successful YouTube career. At this point, I'm doing it basically to help people, since I have the stalker trying to demonetize every video every 2 days. But I'm just saying. And I was so horrified. I have a vision board of positive things and a vision board of negative things. And I was thinking, imagine this. Imagine it's like 2060. I say this to myself, okay? This is like me sharing my thoughts with you. It's 2060. You are an old woman. You don't have money to do any of the things Ray Kurzweil said and afford life extending and longevity and rejuvenation services. You are still on Night Flirt. Your regulars have died. Your friends have died because they were much older than you. And what you do is doing the rounds on every thread, every few hours, telling people you're not cut out for this. This is your contribution to society. Just saying, I saw that and I was thinking like Goggins, like, oh my God, whatever it takes to not end up this way. And I don't say this because I hate this woman or because I consider myself better than this woman. I don't. I just like to share it as an extreme example of if you're not focused, if you're not proactive in this industry, months will turn into years, will turn into decades, and you won't get anywhere. So ask yourself, do I still want to do this job every 5 years? To the people who say you're going to be too old to do it, I'm going to say, and this pains me, many vids is filled up with women in their 50s making 20 or 30 times more than me. So you're too old for this isn't the truth at all if you're willing to put up the work. If you say, hell no, Persephone, I don't want to be doing this 5 years from now. Actually, I don't even going to be doing this 1 year from now. I want you to tell me all of the advice so I can make the quick money and leave. Then start building a plan of how your life is going to be 5 years from now and reverse engineer. For example, this is not like the manifestation bullshit that the scam law of attraction is teaching you, that the law of attraction is real, but they teach it in the wrong way. For example, let's say you want to move to Arkansas. I met someone from there recently on one of the sites. People there seem crazy, not all of them, the ones that I've talked to. Do some research there. How much is the rent? How much are the groceries? What are the good things to do? Even if you say, I don't have $1 in my pocket, what are you talking about? Have a plan for the next 5 years. Or people who say, I always wanted to learn French. They say this to me on many videos. How old are you? 66. Why didn't you start on Duolingo or any of the subs that I'm not paid to promote to learn 5 French words per day? They're like, oh, I don't have time. You don't have time, but you do have time to be on many vids 8 hours per day, tipping 1 token, to waste everyone's time. So sit down, write down your goals, whatever they are, and use this job as a tool, as a stepping stone to what you really want to do if you have something. If you don't have, and you're telling me, my goal is to not be poor anymore, fuck passion and fuck visualization and all of these words, respect it, note it. So you're going to open all of the free resources about financial literacy. Because if you start following my advice and you still don't have $1 in your name, you are spending it wrong. So if you have hobbies, goals, aspiration, you keep them secret. Not every Braden, Caden, and Jaden needs to know them online. You start having plans with baby steps to get them done. And if your goal is to not be poor, we have to start from actually fixing the wrong ideas and the wrong methods that I would bet my right arm that I really need it every day, that they come from your family. So I'm seriously considering making videos on financial literacy and how to start using the money you're going to be making from your, let's say, online business. Because it's very easy to start overspending, or it's very easy if you're traumatized to start hoarding money, hoarding resources, and not living at all. So there is a delicate balance, but you can achieve it. What I have been doing for the past 2 years is I have an Audible subscription on Amazon, and I'm always on headphones listening to books, especially financial books, but also a lot of other stuff. So it's like I listen to 2 books per day. And many times I have notepads. If you see my house, you're going to say this person is a notepad addict, where I keep notes of everything in different categories that can be useful for both me and for you. And I'm going to start compiling all of this in videos. If someone wants to tell me, okay, which book you read this from, I can recommend the entire book. But from my experience, most people don't want that. They just want the golden nuggets inside the book. Because the biggest thing is that when people say money don't bring happiness, this is something that we say to the poor, stupid people so that they won't riot. Money can bring immense happiness, or to say it like this, poverty isn't going to bring you happiness either. Working all day, every day for horrible people isn't going to bring you happiness either. Not having money to go to the dentist, not having money to take care of your children or your pets, or to leave awful people behind. The people who say money don't bring happiness, and what does? Taking a walk at the park and stepping on dog shit, because that's what's going to happen. I'm really, really tired of this society. To close this video, if you want one piece of advice from me that summarizes my entire life philosophy, is find out what's wildly popular in society right now and then do the opposite. I'm not telling commit crimes. We are lawful citizens in this channel, but if society says have lots of friends, I'm going to say lots of friends, I'm going to make you a loser. If society says women support women, I'm going to tell you you're blessed if you have even one good woman in your life, because most of them are not going to support you. If society says plant-based diet, I would say go almost carnivore, and so on. Society needs you broke, miserable, lost, distracted, and most of all, delusional. All of these people that you see on campsites that I used to hate so much, now I'm just seeing them as people that I can help them if I can. They can help me with money if they're psychotic. All of these people are victims that the manosphere said to them, women don't care about looks. Women don't care about size. Just be a provider and women will love you. They won't. Women are more visual than men, if you ask me, and in the old times where men died like flies, women were actually attracted to psychopaths. I'm not saying that for the men that you watch me that you should become a psychopath, but a man that the woman perceives that he can kill to protect her in time of need is always going to be more attractive than a man who says, hey, I'm going to give you 100 tokens. Do you want to add me on your WhatsApp so we can take this to the next level? Okay, I'm not going to make videos about how the manosphere ruined your life and how to separate the good parts from the bad parts. This is our topics for follow-up videos. If you enjoyed this type of content, please like, please subscribe, because we are fighting the stalker. There is a deranged individual doing the rounds in my channel, time-stamping everything, and trying to report me for hate speech and whatever else that one brain cell can come up with. So if you can actually tackle that and show to the algorithm that you appreciated this content and you want more, that would be really helpful. Just that. You don't need to pay me anything. The advice is going to be free. Even if I do end up adding videos in the membership on these topics, these videos are going to just be helping you progress faster. But all the information that you need to succeed, the main information is going to be free. So you're not missing out on anything as long as you're subscribed and you get notifications. Okay? Thank you for watching.